All right, let's have a great show, everyone. Here we go, live in three, two, one. Hey, everyone, welcome back to Real Time Talk with Eagle 3D Streaming. My name is Quentin Anderson, and today on the show we have Tlee Cooper, who is the founder and CEO of ZROverse. Tlee is the founder and CEO, and ZROverse is an ecosystem licensing out metaverse as a service infrastructure. At its core, ZROverse helps small business, enterprise, and/or local governments to reimagine the world virtually and how it can apply to their future business operations. They do this by creating and gamifying digital storefronts in cities, and I've seen some of Tlee's work. It's pretty amazing. And they leverage UE5, Eagle 3D streaming, so that people can access their content from anywhere at any time. In addition to that, Tlee has 10 years of experience working and volunteering across e-commerce, education, workforce development, and rehabilitation sectors. And this experience has aided her in her ability to build within this space, or not only build within this space, but blueprint an entire sustainable ecosystem. So we have a lot of interesting things and a lot of exciting topics to cover. I can't wait to get started. Tlee, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and thank you for that intro. I'm so happy to be here, Quentin.
Yes, and we are very excited that you made time for us today. Before we get started, just to share the format with anyone who is watching for the first time today, this is a live show. And not only is it a live show, but we highly encourage participation. So please do not hesitate to send us a question during the show if you need some clarification or if you'd like more information, because all we're trying to do is to get you the best information possible. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Tlee, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Cool. So before we begin to understand your metaverse as a service platform, can you just give us a little bit more context on how you kind of got to where you are today? Maybe some key things that led you into this world.
Absolutely. Um, well, first I'll start by saying that there's no way in a million years, uh, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have been able to tell you that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now. None of it makes sense for the pathway that I saw for myself. What ended up happening was a little over 10 years ago, a friend of mine, my best friend, introduced me to this game called The Sims. And this game, I'm telling you, is super addictive. And I think, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it is the best game in the world it was ever invented. Like I I really think that this game was just really kind of life changing for me. The reason why it was life changing is because I wasn't necessarily a big gamer at that point. I definitely played video games, like everyone else did, but not one that would keep me captivated for hours on end. And that is like the piece that I kind of stuck with. Why am I addicted to sitting in front of this my PC and playing inside of this virtual world? What is it about this that has me stuck like this? And noticing that there were so many other people and friends that I had that were doing the same things on other games. This made me like pay attention to this as a medium for a lot of things that could potentially be ahead, right? That games are not just games, that they actually have a lot more use cases for them. And they do a variety of things as far as teaching skill sets and um, building up, teamwork skills and in a variety of other things that I started playing with this idea of what if, since this game is just that addictive, I wonder if there is something to gamifying life, right? Like I'm spending so much of my real life inside of this virtual world, and I'm getting a lot of virtual output from that, if we can say that, right? But what would happen if there was actually real world things happening inside of these virtual worlds?
Hmm.
So that when I'm spending all of these hours inside of these worlds, there's actually something real that I'm benefiting from, whether that's I'm, working and I'm actually accumulating a paycheck, or I'm in here and I'm learning skills or even getting a degree, or a variety of other things. And so this kind of opened a door for me. And I walked through it, and I had been spending what's now been like 10 years playing with the idea, intimidated by it, right? I had to kind of develop the courage for it, but intimidated by it, curious, intrigued, and I slow walked into I I think I want to prototype something because I think that there's something huge here. And so that's pretty much how I kind of got this start. It was The Sims.
So that is very cool. I also played The Sims a little bit, and I even played Sim City. So,
Yeah,
sort of I guess the precursor almost to The Sims.
yes,
But and a lot of what's happening in the metaverse, I feel like is has roots in some of those games. Um,
absolutely.
and when you say that you're looking for tangible benefits in a digital space that can be realized in a physical space, what kind of skills do you have, or do you think could be learned, or how can I earn money in a digital space? Like how does that work?
This is one of my favorite questions because it's the thing that I've been trying to brainstorm on for years. Like, how do you turn this into something real? So I'll give you a couple of just, there's so many, but I'll just give you like maybe two or three. One is for me, and I'm gonna add something to this. I hope you don't mind. Another thing initially that I was thinking about was like, okay, well, store ownership is actually very expensive, right? If I wanted to own a store, operate a business, have products, right? This is what makes communities go. This is the heartbeat of cities, are small businesses. And I don't know that I have the money in the bank to actually go open that store. And when I started coming across people who had ideas and had products, they were faced with the same challenges because to be able to go into a bank, get a loan, have the money to be able to go find a property, lease that property, renovate that property, get the inventory, the fixtures, the design, you are looking at 50 to 100,000, especially where I was, Los Angeles, California. That's probably on the cheaper side.
Hmm.
Who has that kind of money? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do, but who has that kind of money just sitting around hoping and kind of waiting? So I say that to say this and to answer the rest of the question, that initially where we kind of started from was a place like, I think the key here is being able to create storefronts, virtual storefronts that can operate, that we can spin up pretty quick, because The Sims showed me how I can do that with a house. So if I can utilize a build system or a library of assets of pre-made, pre-rendered, storefront assets, then why not? A store is really a square or a rectangle, right? You walk into any store anywhere, it's really a square or a rectangle, and then you can do all these different variations. So I'm like, okay, if I get enough assets, get a build system together, and we can quickly spin up virtual 3D stores, there's something to this. There's something to this. E-commerce is huge. There's something to this. So where does gaming, kind of architecture and visualization, and e-commerce meet, that intersect that? So I would say, since we're talking about that, right, that virtual storefronts need someone to man them, because I mean, you can have a character there that's pre-programmed to answer questions, but people want real interaction. So You're going to need virtual customer service reps to man that store, to answer questions about products, to be able to process returns. We are accustomed to calling in for customer service. We're accustomed to emailing for customer service. What does that look like in the metaverse? And so we've been prototyping with that as a main thing, like start thinking about what that looks like to have a virtual customer service pipeline, right? In addition to that, I'll give another one. Just, I think 3D asset creation in general, right? The ability to be able to spin up these stores and create things that are going to help make each individual store look different, right? Because we don't want them all looking the same. That is not fun. So people who can learn about 3D design, and it is not as intimidating as it looks. I think this is just scraping the iceberg of what's possible, not to mention account management, because while you are trying to sit up here and launch a store, well, what does that look like? How do I access that? How do I upload and change my inventory? There's going to need to be people who can understand and assist with those things. So I'll stop there because I'll just keep going.
Well, so if I'm a small business owner and I sell shoes, what is my process with working with you of making a virtual shoe store? What would that look like?
Absolutely. Sure. So we've tried a couple of different methods. I'll give you the one that we've kind of successfully kind of beta tested, right? The experience. So it's this idea of we can work with somebody one-on-one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the most important thing is kind of sitting down and helping people, first of all, through education of understanding of what's possible. Because I can tell you virtual storefront, but what does that mean on your end? We might have two different understandings of what that means and what it can do and what it can look like. If you go on existing metaverse platforms right now that have some of the biggest name brands there are, I'm not talking about that kind, right? They're very stylized. It's very cartoonish, and there's definitely a lane for that, a huge lane. But we deal with more photorealism, and that's on purpose because we understand that brands do not spend all that money, time, and energy building something up just to have it trivialized. And it can seem like you're trivializing a brand by putting it into a cartoon world. And that's no disrespect to anyone that builds in cartoon worlds, because there is a place for that and people want that duality, but we wanted to focus on photorealism for those purposes. So to get back to the question, because I be going in circles, but to get back to the question, what does that process look like? Is first sitting down and kind of educating people on the options. What are the options that you have as far as reimagining how your business can operate in a virtual world? Does it have to be this? Does it have to be that? What are all the features that are possible? After explaining to you your options, right, and the costs associated with those specific options, then it's about, okay, let's come up with a list of the things that you want. And then let's start to prototype the design, right? And really sit down with you one-on-one on what does this look like from an exterior point of view? What does it look like from an interior point of view? And we build that from the ground up. We have pre-made assets for people who are on a budget. We have pre-made assets for people who just don't really care what it looks like. Just give me something that's cool. But we can get very customized and specific and really start from zero, which is where we got our name from. So once we establish what it is somebody will want, whether that's to digitally recreate a store that actually exists or come up with something even better than what they already have, or just something cool, we'll sit down with them, figure out what that is, and we'll start to prototype the exterior, the interior, and then start to drag and drop their real products inside of that store. So I'll stop there.
No, I think that's very helpful to kind of outline that process. And if you had any maybe visuals to show what it could possibly look like once everything is all, said and done. I think that would be helpful just so that we can, really understand, you know, what this looks like. So,
Sure, absolutely. I have two examples that I can show. So we have a demo video, which is really a mashup of a lot of different use cases.
mhm.
The one that will help this last question is towards the end. That's the retail experience. So it's about a
Mhm.
3-minute video. I'm gonna share my screen and I
Okay.
will play that one. And then I also have an example of an art gallery and how we kind of leveled up um, some
Awesome.
ideas there. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, so all right, 3 minutes, and here we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk over it a little
Sure.
bit,
Yes, please do.
um, but I will try not to talk over everything. So what you are looking at is our very first kind of attempt at trying to build a street. Uh, what would a block look like with a bunch of different things on it, right? That we're visually accustomed to seeing when we go outside and we go downtown and all of that. And so, obviously, right now we're inside of a movie theater. Shout out to Ready Player One, right? Big
Mm-hmm.
inspiration, right? We are
Definitely.
inside of what was the lobby of a movie theater to be able to select the movie you want, to be able to come in and actually be in what feels like a movie theater, to watch that and be able to do this with other people, right? So this isn't a solo experience. This is a convention center, college fair. Now you're dealing with education and government and trying to, if I want to figure out what school I want to go to, imagine this as a field trip, right? For schools, they don't have to wait for college fair day or career fair day. This can literally be on demand anytime when somebody's interested in learning what schools are available for certain industries or pathways. So we were prototyping what a lot of these things could look like. Obviously, there's the pre-programmed questions and answers, but we want to take that a step further. But my favorite part is what's coming up. And this is like the heavy on the retail side. You're seeing these examples of different stores, um, but we're gonna actually go inside one and you're gonna see something pretty cool. So I'm gonna be quiet for this one because it's my favorite part.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Shout out to Fearless, Delali Jarasa in Baltimore. He runs a tech company, but he also has this amazing clothing brand, and we built this for him from the ground up.
Wow. Look at all the yeah. And that includes all the clothing and all those assets, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Uh,
So this Delali does not have a actual store, but he does operate just e-commerce. We took um, information from his e-commerce site. We took his branding. We made sure we didn't trivialize the brand. We focused on photorealism. We were able to bring in a lot of different elements that you would see in a store, like the videos and the TVs, to be able to promote certain things. And we built out that whole kind of experience that mimics what we are used to experiencing in person. So I think this is just a mashup of a few different experiences, but I think it does a good job in explaining the vision.
oh, absolutely, and it's gorgeous. And so, when you say build it from the ground up, was that an actual city block, or did you imagine that city block, just adding a bunch of e-commerce stores that line up on both sides, or how did you come up with that design?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's built completely from the ground up. This is not a block in anywhere that you would find. But what we did was we took kind of like the spirit of Baltimore, different things that we've seen around Baltimore, and then we tried to imagine what this block could look like. And this was really a very early kind of concept for Baltimore. I think anyone that's from Baltimore, Maryland, when they see this, it's not gonna actually like ring a bell like, oh yeah, that's Baltimore. We were testing. But what is possible, short of a digital twin, which requires, drone scanning and all of this other stuff, is we can actually take pieces. If you think about Grand Theft Auto 5, this is the best example. Grand Theft Auto 5 is a combination of a lot of different cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And me being raised in Los Angeles, California, when I play GTA 5, it's taking me home every single time. I'm like, I know this place, I've been here, but it doesn't exactly line up that way. So our goal is to kind of take that GTA 5 approach. And when we come into a city and we're trying to create something, we are doing a mashup of things that, all right, this block from this part of the city, this block from this part of the city, and then putting them together in a way that's hopefully visually cohesive and appealing. But yes, we built it from the ground up.
Excellent. Excellent. And I think you have a second video.
I do. One second. All right. What you are going to see here is a art gallery project that we did for Juneteenth. Shout out to the Third in Columbia, Maryland, and shout out to Art Vibes. Marlon at Art Vibes worked with me on this. We really sat down and captured his vision for an art gallery show that he was doing called Wocax. So here is that video. This is 5 minutes long. I am going to kind of speed through it a little bit because the functionality that I want you to see is towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting is the video before this was done in Unreal 4,
okay.
But this is done in Unreal 5. And so I'm not sure if you could see the difference for all of the people out there, but it's a huge difference. And I'm so thankful that, we build in Unreal because they are the best partner we could have ever had, especially their tool set using the Unreal Game Engine to build all of this. So we built the whole city block. We focused on photorealism. We built out the building. We brought in the branding. And then we have 3D represent. A lot of the times when I see the art gallery projects, they are very 2D. They're very they slap up an image. We took it a little bit further and tried to make it more realistic in a variety of different ways. I'm going to fast forward right now so that you can see what the actual interaction is like when you approach some artwork. Give me 1 second. I don't know the exact place. Everything from incorporating video and those projection screens, and give me 1 second.
And are all these artwork pieces, are they are physical works too? Is that correct? Meaning
yes.
This painting exists in the physical world?
Absolutely. So we actually ran the digital art gallery show alongside the one that was happening in person. So all of these pieces were actually at this in-person gallery that was ran at the Third in Columbia, Maryland. You'll see here at the bottom, let me pause it for a second, how there's connections to OpenSea. So
cool.
Not only is this showing, the digital version. So if you couldn't afford to do this event in person, if you couldn't get everyone together to kind of put on this event, well, we can do it virtually and invite everybody and kind of accomplish the same thing. But also, if you were somebody that wants to take it to the next level and sell this as an NFT, there's nothing stopping us from connecting to a website or connecting to OpenSea without breaking immersion. You can stay inside of the game, and that's what you're going to see right here, along with the social media links and the descriptions, all of the things that you would want to know if you were in person at that gallery.
That's amazing.
So here we are without breaking immersion, and we were able to interact with their website, their social media, and even their OpenSea, which hopefully you'll see in a second.
Yeah, and I think one of the key words is not breaking immersion, like you said. Like, we're not ever ripping them out of the experience to go do something. It's all contained and centrally located.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, for this to even be possible to work on the level that it needs to, that's why pixel streaming is so important. It's so important. Like I can't tell you how many times even when it comes to my investors and talking with people, their whole thing is not everybody plays video games on a console, right? Not everybody has a VR headset. Not everyone has, a fancy PC. Well, I knew that, I understood that, it made sense, and I said, okay, we gotta run this from the cloud. We need to be able to pixel stream so that this can run on any device. We are what is it? Device agnostic, right?
Yes.
Where this will literally play anywhere. And so that's why it was so important for me to meet you and for us to be able to team up. Like it's just been amazing.
Well, I mean, the pleasure is all on our side for sure. And so, yes, thank you for sharing, and I'll switch back to our podcast format. So, the time went by so quick, and I know we've only got a couple minutes left, but I did want to spend a little bit of time touching on the government project that you're working on with the city and county of Durham. Can you just tell us what you got going on there?
Uh, Absolutely. So, North Carolina is the epicenter of a lot of stuff, and it's coming. If you're not familiar with what all is going on in the North Carolina, specifically the Cary Research Triangle Park area, it's a lot. You should definitely look into it. We have transitioned a lot of our operations from Baltimore, Maryland, down to Durham, North Carolina, because of this, because of the momentum, because of the tech, because of Unreal, right? And Google being in that space. And so we recently were accepted into a program that we applied for called Innovate Durham, which is huge. Innovate Durham was pretty much the government coming together and announcing to its residents and people who do business there, like, hey, we want to partner with you all and see what we can come up with. The government doesn't have all of the ideas to take us forward. And everyone out there with the ideas could benefit from working with the government. So let's come together. And so they open themselves up every year to allow people who have ideas to come test. And so we were one of the ones that got accepted. And we've been working on what a pilot program could look like in spinning up a digital city and being able to have certain use cases. So look out for that. It's coming. We culminate in November. So we'll be able to show a lot during that
Well,
time.
well, I can't wait to see it. I mean, you're killing it out there. North Carolina is a super cool place to be. I mean, Epic Games is there, Google is there. You're in the Research Triangle, doing your thing. So it sounds like you're in the sweet spot, and you're finding a lot of very cool projects that you can help contribute to. So that's very cool.
Yeah, we're very thankful, our whole team. And we're coming to Texas. We're
Come
coming to
on,
Texas
we're
because
we're waiting for you. We're waiting. Awesome.
So is there I don't know if there was any questions. I hope I know me. I can go in a circle. Everyone knows it. But was there any specific thing that I maybe like didn't speak on or
I think you did actually a really good job of just showing exactly what you were doing. If any questions do come in afterwards, I'll shoot them to you in case you want to maybe give some answers or insight on how you'd like to, to answer those.
Sure. I'm
And
also open to coming back once we make a little bit more progress with the project and give you all a first glance.
well, yes, let's do that for sure because
Okay.
I know that you are already making something amazing, and I know you're gonna kill it. So let's
Thank
go ahead and plan on that. And thank you, Tlee,
you.
so much for being a part of our podcast and being here with us today. I know you're very busy. Um, Everyone, Tlee, if anyone would like to reach out to you, best way is LinkedIn or
Yeah, LinkedIn can work. Just Tlee Cooper, Tlee and Cooper. Also the website ZROverse. That's ZRO, no E in zero, just ZRO verse VERSE .com. Those are the best ways to connect with us. Our social media, we're in the process of getting that up and off the ground, so it's not as solid. Discord is not as solid, but it's coming. So those two ways are the preferred.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Thank you everyone for being and watching Eagle 3D Streaming Real-Time Talk. My name is Quentin. Please subscribe, like, and turn on notifications for our channel so you get all of our updates, and we will catch you on the next show. Tlee, thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. See you all in the next show. Bye, everyone.